So, a couple of weeks ago, I've been invited to this office. This is Frontier Developments in Cambridge, and we've been talking about a lot of things regarding Planet Coaster 2, other Frontier games, the future of Frontier games in general, but also I've been meeting up with a couple of wonderful creators. Delay Designer, Silverred, Nerd Chat Show, Digital Dan, and me have been there. Why exactly we're going to talk about in this video, because it's more than just Planet Coaster 2. Trust me, there's a lot more to talk about. But before we get into that, and I'll mix in a couple of photos and footages, because maybe you've seen already the wonderful trailer that Frontier has done with us. I will mix them in between, but full disclosure. Obviously, we've been to the office, so we've done a couple of things, we've seen a couple of things that I'm not allowed to talk about quite yet. There's going to be exciting stuff in the future, but please do respect that in this video, I'm only going to talk about things that I can talk about without you interpreting something that isn't true. So if I'm going to guess something, be sure that I have no further knowledge on that. But also, topics I do not talk about may not mean that there is something I know, it's just that they don't fill in the video. The new transparency that Frontier is going to opt for allows me to, have this direct conversation with you guys and tell you more than usual in the past, which is great. So please do respect and don't kind of try to read something into this which isn't the case. This is very important so we can continue this very open, transparent thing. And also, this is the very thing why we've been invited. Just a bit of story time, okay? A couple of weeks ago, I got a message from a wonderful fellow friend, Edward Lewis. For those of you who've been around at the very beginning of the Planko days, they do know Edward Lewis used to be the wonderful Ed, a community manager at Frontier. He used to be junior community manager and he went all the way up to community lead at Frontier Developments, and together with Bo, they formed like the early days of the Planko and Planzoo family, which was always very, very nice. And it's funny because Ed now is working in an agency that has been contracted by Frontier to get creators over to the office, and the reason why is a wonderful one, I think. Frontier is opting to rebuild this trust and conversation in, whatever we've done in the past. And, due to several crises, pandemics, and all that kind of stuff in between, obviously, layoffs in the whole branch and the whole industry have changed the staff dramatically. And so a certain connection between creators and companies have been lost, like usually. This is not the case only with Frontier. This has been industry-wide a phenomena that was obvious. But even more so, it is so great to see that Frontier really now tries to give people a voice again. And trust me, from all the talks in there, it's not only, we five who've been there, we are kind of catering at the moment for the community. And just so you're aware, that's nothing to do, against all the great creators across the world, Geekism, Yonti, Mars Bandit, the whole kind of Bro Nation, Aston. We know there are a couple of great creators all across the world, but, limited budget and short notice kind of made it not possible to have everyone in there, apparently. However, it's gonna be the start. It's gonna be the start of a huge thing, and also community will be involved a lot more. And again, it is super amazing to see that they have invited us. And also, I'm extremely happy about Nerd Chat Show, because if you look at the sheer numbers and subscribers and stuff, he may not be the one with the most subscribers. However, he's been a very vocal voice of the Planet Coaster community across all these years. He's been doing content for all these 8 years straight, and Frontier is very good, or used to be very good, at recognizing these smaller creators and giving them a voice as well. When we started, Lady and I, for example, we used to having less than 1,000 subscribers. We used to having not even a followership whatsoever. So in case you're wondering why, it's really trying to give these people a voice who've been very passionate and dedicated to the games. And also, I must say, and this is something people seem to forget, which is also a quote they included in the Frontier video, which I'm super happy about. We tend to forget that the people working at Frontier, like the team, the core team, the ones who are building the game, not leading the company, but building the game, they are passionate about every single thing, just like we are. And it's so fun when you walk through the office. You see, you see people watching videos of us. You see people having notes from stuff we do in the community, and they are aware. When you talk to them, they are aware of certain things. They are aware of Taggy, for example. Talking about Taggy, I remember I mentioned the name Taggy 3D, and you looked in the faces of Rich and Adam, and both were like, the faces were telling, yes, we do know him. It's like he's the one breaking our games constantly, isn't he? Yes, and it's funny to hear because they see all of that. They see how we're breaking the game, how we're testing the things, and they take out these things. I think one very kind of eye-opening thing for me personally was, again, to be reminded that even though we think sometimes certain things are so obvious, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that someone else does that, you know. If you're, for example, like a creative builder like I am, you have a completely different focus than someone who's playing management games as a favorite game, and then, you know, they have a completely different approach to Planet Coaster in general. So Frontier has to balance all these kind of things. Remember that. So it's very easy to say we need a Blitz coaster, an Intermin Blitz, you know. That's one part of the community being so obsessed about coasters and now talking about the exact angle of a spline, if that one is correct. While then you have people who are like all about themes, and people who still say, oh my god, 9 themes, that's not enough at all. We need 20 themes. I need my spooky bag. I need this bag. I need that bag. Which is all fair, you know, and the role of Frontier is also to cater all these things together and balance them out, which was becoming a bit more obvious to me again, seeing that they have all these things at the table to juggle, you know. So I think we shouldn't forget about that. But while being at the office and talking, and trust me, we've been there for a lot of hours, and almost the whole time Rich and Adam have been with us, and we've been able to ask them a lot of questions. And honestly, there's not even that much I can't talk about, because it's been a lot of general questions, you know, about certain ideas and if they have seen certain things. And we played forth and back a couple of things. We talked about a lot of functionalities that are in the game now, and like we just kind of brainstormed a couple of things. So apparently there is nothing I could say. They just listened, you know, and whatever they're doing with this, we can't say yet, you know. It's not like we got a feedback paper was like, okay, we are going to establish these things, what you said, and that is something we don't do. No, that's not how it was. It was like an open conversation, and what we're trying to do is, with all these videos, you know, now Chacha I've seen has done a video as well, and I'll be talking about that in the future as well. We are trying to give you guys a voice, you know. We're trying to remind you that everything you say counts, and there are like 2 levels. It's the one level is the issue tracker, which is super important because that is a quantitative tool where you can see, okay, how often does a issue XYZ appear, and so how necessary from a sheer quantitative perspective is it to fix that issue. Because I should maybe say that like a game like this, such a modern game, has a lot of issues, and they are aware, we are aware, there are bugs in the game, so you can't help but they're in. But it's one thing to say there is that one bug and fix it, but once you want to fix that, they also showed us very clearly that this caused other things to break, and then you always have to think about, do you fix this issue while being aware that other things will be broken then for a while, or do you maybe kind of look at it as, is that the most important thing for the whole player base at the moment, or do we need to go to something else? Which and that is, to be honest, I don't want to be in their position, because that is a very hard thing to face and to decide at the end of the day. But, and this is why we're talking, there's another level to it. The issue tracker, as I said, is a quantitative thing, but there is a qualitative thing, and that is the voice of the community. They do read the comments, they watch our videos, they will watch this video here, and they will read the comments. So please be crazy, go nuts in the comments, and let us know what should be done in the game. It would be nice to maybe focus on one area specifically, and to, you know, long list with a lot of wishes. They are usually great, but also hard to like boil together, you know. But sometimes it's important, like, is there one specific area of the game that you want to specifically be changed, you know, go into pools, go into weather, go into management, whatever will it be. Make sure that you have that one theme and then give feedback to it, because that way I can see and also give that to Frontier, but also Frontier can read that easily and see, okay, I don't know, 80 people talked about, I don't know, hot tubs, you know, in the comments. So hot tubs seems to be more like a very important thing, and then you can go further and see, what about the casual players? Have they mentioned hot tubs too? And so this is the way how we build the game together. And also one thing I must say is, from a perspective of development, you know, sometimes you can have the feeling that like something is planned for a very long time already, so that we don't really have a say in it. So sometimes people say with other games, that may actually be true, that you have already an outline of the next 6 DLCs for the next 1.5 years, and so there's not really that much you can do about this, right? So there's really not that much that can cater into it. And I honestly sometimes have the feeling as well that why would I give feedback in? But I can assure you that's not the case with Planet Coaster 2. Frontier said themselves, even from the highest position up, they truly believe that this has to be a game developed together with the community. They will have always the space to bring in ideas from the community. And just to pinpoint a couple of things, you know, in the past, people have been saying things and brought them in. Like I remember, for example, in the past, we haven't talked about that, but I know it for a fact that the SLV coaster, or the standard Schwarzkopf looping coaster, which is in the game now, did not make it to the first game in the base game, and in a very late DLC it came into the game. And I remember that especially Sylph was one of the persons who constantly annoyed them with this coaster, and then they named this even SLV, and we know from talks in the past that this really has been such an annoyance for them that they said at some point we have to bring it in, it has to be brought in. And the same goes with the diorama mode. Remember Planet Zoo? Frontier never planned a diorama mode at the beginning, they never did it, but then they saw my dioramas pop up, and all of a sudden people were playing in a diorama mode, but Frontier said, hey, we have an easy fix for that, let's give them a proper diorama mode. And nowadays people use the diorama mode to kind of create islands and stuff like that. Very wonderful development. And so the same goes with whatever we can do with Planet Coaster 2. So these two levels, as I said, qualitative and quantitative, we can utilize to shape the game into a direction that we want. And as I said, I've been vocal about the game at the beginning. It's not been in a place where it should have been. And, you know, there may be several reasons, not all of them I'm aware of, but there may be a lot of reasons why that was the case and why it hasn't been in a state like it was. Definitely, that is definitely one thing I can 100% ensure your Frontier exactly knows how to go from here now. I mean, they've shown all the updates and all the fixes that they were capable of that. And this is my personal opinion at this point. So again, full disclaimer, I have no further knowledge of anything else. My personal opinion is that they were a little bit surprised by the feedback at the beginning, but equally already expected that in some way. So it's not like that they it's not like that they didn't know with the first DLC that it might be a little bit misplaced from the community feedback coming, but as things turn out the way they are, it just kind of feels sometimes different. As I said, there are human beings behind that, and as they may have been a bit surprised, as I said, I think they took the right decisions and learned what they needed to do. There's also one thing I want to quickly talk about, because I've read that quite a lot in all these videos, and I want to quickly talk about this because, and that again has nothing to do with my visit. That was the point of why not giving us more free updates now? Why is there a DLC? And this should have all been in the base. Oops, sorry. Microphone time again, I guess. But they, you know, they claimed it should have been all in the base game. And at this point, I start to disagree. I think up until update number 6, yes, everything that we've received kind of had to be that way, and it would have been kind of, you know, cheeky to charge money for that, because the game wasn't in a state of a full release how we would expect it, and we know Frontier can deliver, which it showed. They delivered. Update 6 for me is basically the point where I say that's the launch version. But from now on, going on, there is a team, there's a company that needs also money to pay the bills, to pay people, to make sure they have the money. And, you know, it's not like they just build for passion, they also build to pay the living. So it was obvious that at some point you need to go into a cash flow again. So we are here. But that said, look at the quality of the DLC, look at the quality of the free update. And there's also, and this can be again, is something I can say very nicely because it's obvious and it's confirmed, there will be free updates with the next coming, whatever that will be, paid DLC in the future, because that's how Frontier has always done it. That's how they've done this with Planet Coaster 1, Planet Zoo, and, you know, potentially, and this is just me saying how it was in the past, potentially it will be towards, like, say, the 3rd or 4th year, maybe the free updates will become lesser and lesser in its size and meaning. but equally they still do that. I mean, remember with Planet Zoo, we got the souvenir shops 3 years in. That is kind of crazy to think of, you know. So just be aware, we have just been here for a year. It's almost like first anniversary of the game. It's not even been 1 year, and I think after all, we kind of end the first year on a very positive note. Now, I want to now transition to a more personal review of that meeting. So, you know, I've said a lot of things, we talked a lot of things. There will be cool stuff in the future we can talk about. I will have to play a little bit further back with Frontier, what we can maybe talk about soon and what not. But again, we have this very transparent conversation with them now, which is super awesome. I love that. This is how developers should do it. You know, I'm not sitting here spilling all the tea or whatever. I would never do this, because this opportunity we have right now is not important only for me, but also for you guys out there. It is our currency to make this game a better game, and I would be mad to waste this potential, and you would be too. So if you now go and kind of create some hoax with what I've said, that would not be helpful going forward. But on a personal note, I am extremely thankful that Frontier gave me that opportunity, invited me over, and had the courage to do that. We have not been the most polite in the past month. And also to have the courage to invite someone like the lady, for example, who has been very negative at the beginning of the game, up to a point where she didn't even play the game. But there is more to it why they would invite someone like Lady. I've seen a lot of comments like, why the heck did they invite Lady? What, she's never played the game, really? And that's the point. She hasn't. But she's had a long relationship with Frontier, and she's had a long relationship with the Planet community, which means there is a point where something has broken, which needs to be fixed in order to regain trust. And being aware of that and having the courage to invite people over that, you know, are in a different mood, I guess, at the point that I am. Like I've been vocal, but I've still been enjoying the game quite a lot. Sylph is just a complete coaster nerd anyways, and Digital Dan and Nerd Chacho have had a great time so far with the game. So it is very nice that they have found this balance between the different entry points to the community, I would say, and also get all this feedback together. So I think it's a very nice move of a company, of a development company, to get people in, give them a voice, and allow them to really speak out their heart. And again, I don't want to go into details because A, I can only speak for me, and B, it's definitely something that needs to belong in the talks we had, but I can guarantee you they allowed us to really give feedback, like really give the feedback they need. They don't need people pleasing from us. They don't need to say, oh, that's so great, you know, everything has been amazing from the beginning. Oh, super, yeah, it's just a little hiccup. No, that doesn't lead you anywhere, okay? That's not how you fix games. But again, it's all been in a very nice, polite, friendly, and passionate way. You know, discussions with the devs, they have obviously their own idea about the game as well. They want to do the best game ever out there. And so sometimes they may then also go into a direction that we don't understand, because like, what the hell, why are you doing this? Well, they do this because they thought it's going to be a good way to go. So moving forward, we will be able to see a lot more where this game is going to branch out to. There's a lot of feedback we left there, which they ensured us to look into. They ensured us to really see what they can do with it. And I'm super excited now, because as I don't know what exactly they're doing, and there's this one thing, for example, we already talked about, Nachacho has said in his videos as well. I think Yonti took upon that as well, as he listened to some of the videos. I think also Digital Dan talked about that. I'm not in charge of who all, but like, for example, the boomerang option in the kids coaster hasn't been a thing. So when we've been at the office, that was the first thing we said. It's like, hey, are you aware that people will ask for a boomerang, you know? And they were like, oh, yeah, so we are looking into that. So again, as I said, we don't know if it's coming, when it's coming, but again, having that ability to say, it is a point they know, and people have been very open about this, that they need this. It's super cool, because hopefully we'll get this in the future, and then we exactly know where this is coming from. And so I'm really excited for the future, because once we see certain things added to the game, I will be able to tell you that this has been a part of the feedback, and so ensure you that the whole stream, the whole new dialogue is working. And I'm so curious to see how that works. I'm so incredibly happy that they took this turn and went from no communication at all, which is exactly how you felt. And I think at the very end, when Frontier Unlocked was meant to be paused for the moment, people were like, oh my god, now communication is over. From this to, hey, we have a direct stream to the creators now and we will have a direct dialogue, is mega. And yeah, so again, let me know everything in the comments. But there's one more thing we need to talk about, and frankly, this is something I didn't know when I've been there, so that was surprising to me, and I was almost like, hey, you cheeky Frontier, because a couple days later, the wonderful Eben wrote me a message in Discord, and he said, hey, there's the new financial report of Frontier, and they're talking about yet another Planet game, or maybe, we don't know if it's a Planet game, but another creative management simulation game in the following year of next year. So next year, 2026, is going to be another game, and 2027 is going to be yet another game. And this, my friends, and I put the screenshot somewhere here now, but this is spicy. Because from all the odds, we already said Planet Coaster 2 is going to happen, surely, so it was. Jurassic World Evolution 3 is going to happen, so it was. So these two were the most obvious from, okay, maybe for those of you who don't have the context. 2.5 years ago, where Frontier kind of reiterated, changed the whole leadership, and they said we're going to focus back on what we can do best, which is the creative simulation games. They announced 3 games following in the fiscal years 24, 25, 26, which are exactly these years now. So at the beginning, everyone was like, oh my god, they're going for a city game, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, we were already like, I think it's all for the successors, because at this point it just kind of made sense that Planet Coaster 2 was coming anyways. It was also making sense that Jurassic World Evolution 3 may come, with the franchise being announced to continue with a new set of cast and, you know, going into maybe a new trilogy. At least we know there's a second movie already confirmed, so that was obvious. And now the third one in the row, logically, would be a Planet Zoo 2, which we still have no confirmation whatsoever of, but it just makes sense, you know, with all the learnings from the Planet games and also with like Jurassic World Evolution 3, that would kind of be weird. And looking into the financial report, you see how well Planet Zoo sells, how well this game works as a money printing thing for them. There is no way you wouldn't do that. However, then we are still left with the game in 2027, and that is so exciting, because it is going to be a new game. There is no, I mean, it's not going to be Jurassic World Evolution 4, it's not going to be Planet Coaster 3, and vice versa, not going to be Planet Zoo 3, even though that would be funny if you release 2 and 3 just 2 years after. I'm just kidding. There's no way around. It's none of these 3 games. It's not F1 Manager, it's not Elite. It has to be something completely new, and I have no idea, and I'm so excited about this. I will be doing some speculation videos about this. I will be doing a lot. As soon as we get maybe a tiny bit more info somewhere, I'll be doing that. There has been no hint whatsoever in the studio, and if so, they have hidden that pretty nicely. So unfortunately, I have to, you know, just rely on speculating, just like myself. That said, on the note of speculating, Frontier even allowed us directly to keep on doing speculation videos. So whenever you see a speculation video of me, the lady, and all the others who've been in the office, you can be assured that we have no idea. Because if we would have an idea, I think it would not be the most smart thing in the world to do a speculation video about that. Because, I mean, at least I am surely not... I don't think I couldn't act for so long to make that work. So at least I can ensure you, whenever there's a speculation video. Now, you know, obviously, if there is speculation, we have no further knowledge, because that would be way too dangerous and also not really that super respectful, I guess. But it would be fun, because afterwards we could always say, "Told you so." Which is hilarious. But yeah, no. Speculation videos will only then appear if there is at least a vast majority of stuff we have no idea about, and then just do the same as always, because speculation videos are fun. They are fun. They not only fuel kind of the excitement for a game, but they also kind of give the company ideas. So if a game isn't set, you know, all the ideas you bring into these speculation videos then again are relevant for a company like Frontier to read into them if there is a chance to bring certain things into a game. Anyhow, I'm starting to ramble. I wanted to just end this video on a general note on this visit. It's not been only very fun and great to see all the other people. I wanted to end this on the story of when Ed called me, because again, it's such a blast from the past, and 2016 when it all began, we all felt like tiny little babies, even though I've been already in my late 20s, or mid 20s ago, whatever. I genuinely was excited like the first time, and it turned out to be exactly as exciting, and just also seeing Nerd Chacho be so excited all day because it's been his very first time invited. I was really like seeing a kid enter like a candy shop. That was so good to see, and I really hope that this happens way more often with communities in the future. Maybe we can reinstate some of the community meets like we had in Efteling and so on in the past. Maybe that's gonna happen, who knows? If not, that's fine too, but I genuinely think this was not only a bold move of Frontier, it was a great move of Frontier. I do also hope that other creators will get the chance at some point to even a wider spread idea, but just in general, there is this new channel open, the new stream of information, the new kind of level of transparency, which we should all use to the bestest way possible to be excited for the future of their games, you know? And again, as I said, I think it's a huge strength. It takes a lot of courage to do that, to, you know, make sure that you open up to the people who have been criticizing you quite a lot in the past, but also who've been a voice for you as well, equally. I think that's a bold move, a very nice, bold move. So thank you, Frontier. Thank you, every single one of you, having us invited over. That was amazing, and I can't wait to do more. I can't wait to see more. I can't wait to play the games more, and I can't wait to see more feedback of the community, whether it's been maybe at some point a bit harsh here and there, which is fine. You know, everyone has their opinion and their ideas how the game should be. So yeah, hopefully that was interesting for you guys. Again, obviously I couldn't tell you too much, but I can again assure you about a couple of things. The direction of the game is absolutely spot on. The way how they kind of took our feedback in is amazing. I can only assure you that this is wonderful. They have not only taken notes, they have taken notes. Literally, there was Chantal was also in there with us. She was taking notes. Rich and Adam themselves were taking notes, and they were also asking a lot of good questions to us. Like that, it wasn't a one-way stream, by the way. That was really a conversation of us also asking us, you know, what kind of things are as important. I said I need camels in Planet Coaster, obviously. I didn't, but like, you know. We talked a lot of things, you know. We talked about stuff that we still think is stupid, you know. We talked about, and I brought on, as always, my kind of point about the weather, that I'm still finding this absurd. Like a lot of things, Sylph was talking about a lot of coasters things, just like Digital Dan did. Nerd Chacho was talking about a lot of realism things, so just so you get an idea of what the talking points were we brought in. Again, without any guarantee that something happens, but we talked about these things, so that is very fantastic. To see that we have the chance, and yeah, I repeat myself, but because I'm so excited about this, and yeah, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the whole conversation, and yeah, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for the games, and now I cannot wait to read your feedback that you will surely start to type down now. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and if you don't want to miss out on any updates and whatnot, make sure to sub to the channel. I can at least guarantee you that I have all the news as soon as I get them, and you'll be seeing them here. So talk to you in the next one, and bye.